as working moms, our day-to-day lives often run at full speed. When something finally slows down, it can feel really uncomfortable or even wrong. That discomfort isn't necessarily a problem. It might be a signal to us that we've adapted to a pace that is actually not sustainable. And what we need is more rest, not more stimulation. There is power in choosing to stay, to not buffer, to not chase, to sit with your life as it is just for a moment and trust that that is enough for now. This is what alignment looks like here. Not forcing yourself to feel better, just telling the truth in a way that feels a little more supportive. Welcome to the Choose Better Thoughts podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Doyle, certified life and leadership coach, and I'm here to help you make your complex life feel easy. Every episode, we tackle one subconscious limiting belief. You will leave this space having shifted your mindset to level up your career, embrace a Zen-like style of parenting, and finally savor the life you've worked so hard to create. So pop in your earbuds and let's do some coaching. Today, let's talk about a belief that sounds pretty minor on the surface. I shouldn't be bored. This one shows up a lot. Maybe you're sitting on the floor playing tiny dinosaurs or babies for what feels like forever and thinking, I'm so bad at pretend play and feeling like a bad mom. Or maybe you're in a meeting at work, zoning out while someone explains something that just doesn't apply to you, and then feeling guilty for not paying attention. Or maybe you're in a season of life where things are stable. Your job is fine, your home life is fine, but you feel this undercurrent of restlessness, like something's missing. And then you start wondering if that means you're ungrateful or you're doing something wrong. But maybe nothing is wrong. Maybe you're just feeling bored. And maybe that doesn't have to be a problem. But we're conditioned to see boredom as a problem. So we try to fix it. We reach for our phones. We get up and clean something. We plan a vacation or a career change in our heads. That urge to do something to avoid an uncomfortable feeling is what one of my mentors calls buffering. In the case of boredom, buffering is to escape the discomfort of being still, physically or metaphorically. In this episode, we're going to look at what happens when we stop making boredom a problem. We'll talk about why your brain resists it. And we'll talk about different types of boredom that show up, from fleeting to existential, and why learning to sit with it might be one of the most useful emotional skills that you can practice. We'll also talk about the neutral zone, that in-between space between life chapters. Boredom might just be part of that quiet middle. And what if you just didn't rush to fill it? Let's start with the obvious question. Why do we think boredom is a problem in the first place? A lot of it comes from how we were raised and what we see modeled in our culture. Most of us grew up in environments where being productive was praised and being idle was criticized. If you weren't doing something useful, you were wasting time. Even now, there's this pressure to be optimizing, improving, or staying active. And then you add in social media where it looks like everyone else is having a very exciting life, and boredom starts to feel like a personal failure. So we internalize this message. If I feel bored, I must be doing life wrong. For me, this belief doesn't show up as a dramatic thought. It shows up in subtle ways, like this low-key guilt you feel during a slow afternoon, or the impulse to open your phone the second that a meeting gets quiet, or the restlessness you feel when everything is technically fine, but your brain still wants more. This is all totally normal. We are wired for stimulation. Our brains are built to seek novelty and reward and progress. This doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. It means your brain is doing what it has evolved to do. But when we are constantly surrounded by noise and movement, the quiet of boredom can feel threatening. and we want to make it go away. But here's the thing, noticing that moment, pausing when you catch yourself reaching for something to fill the space, that's the first step to consider a change in order to practice some personal growth. You can ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling right now? And you might be surprised because maybe it might not actually be boredom. It might be fatigue or frustration or loneliness or even a desire for more depth. And this awareness matters. It's nuanced. It gives you options for different, more intentional actions. You're not just reacting anymore, you're observing. And once you start doing that, you get to choose how you want to respond instead of turning to the closest source of dopamine so that you get to feel better. So once you've noticed the boredom, what now? Most of us try to get rid of it right away. We pick up our phones, we start scrolling, we check email, we eat something, we start mentally redoing the living room. All of that is buffering. And here's why it makes sense. Your brain is trying to protect you. It sees boredom as uncomfortable and it wants to solve for that fast. Again, this is not a personal flaw. This is a learned survival strategy. But most of the time, notice that you're not actually in survival mode. You're just in a moment where nothing exciting is happening. The idea here isn't to shame yourself for buffering or avoiding the feeling. It's just simply to notice it and then try something a little bit different. So what happens if you just let yourself feel bored? If you notice the restlessness and don't immediately try to fix it? Let's say you're sitting in a meeting that's dragging. Instead of opening your laptop to multitask or grabbing your phone under the table, maybe just try noticing the feeling. Name it. This is boredom. Notice what it feels like in your body specifically. Maybe heavy eyes, maybe fidgety hands, and stay with that for a minute. Make friends with it. Get to know yourself. Or maybe you're in a season of life that feels like it's on autopilot. Nothing's wrong, but everything feels a little flat. Your subconscious instinct might be to shake things up, make a big change, chase a new goal, start something. But what if you let yourself be still for just a little while? What if you allowed the boredom instead of assuming it means that you're stuck or you're behind? I have been feeling this myself a lot lately. We've moved twice in 6 months. My kids started at a new school. I launched this podcast. And now with things finally settling a little, I can feel how much my brain wants to keep the momentum going. I keep reaching for something, more projects, more stimulation, more to figure out. I notice how hard it is to sit still, how unfamiliar rest feels. And when I don't give myself space to pause, I start to feel scattered and tense and like I'm entering burnout again. It's a reminder that just because I am craving motion, it doesn't mean that motion is what I need. So I am currently asking myself daily, what would it look like for me to practice being the kind of person who doesn't rush the next step, even when it's uncomfortable? Can I sit still long enough to let this version of me breathe a little bit? One of my coaches taught me that when we allow a feeling without trying to escape it, we're actually building emotional strength. This means not reacting right away, just naming the feeling, sitting with it briefly, and seeing what happens. So I am practicing this, and I'm getting a little hit of dopamine from the idea that I'm growing even while sitting still. And you can see here that I'm still linking my worthiness with productivity, but I'm okay with that. I'm noticing it, and I'm allowing myself to be right where I am with all of my ingrained stories. Awareness and allowing myself to be human is what I am practicing. And now that we're acknowledging our humanity with compassion and grace toward ourselves, let's look a little deeper at the other thoughts associated with I'm bored. These thoughts underneath are usually where the deeper suffering starts. So you might notice thoughts like this: I should be more grateful. Other moms probably don't feel this way. If I were doing something more meaningful, I wouldn't feel this way. This must mean something is off. None of these are facts. They're just things your brain offers up because of its natural negativity bias. And when you believe them without questioning them, they can shape how you feel and how you show up without you even realizing it. So let's take a deeper look one at a time. I should be more grateful. This thought feels virtuous, but it's actually just shame in disguise. Gratitude doesn't cancel out boredom. You can love your life and feel grateful and still feel bored sometimes, maybe even a lot of the time. You're not doing it wrong. You're just a human with a nervous system that isn't being stimulated at the moment or in this season. Or how about other moms probably don't feel this way? This is a really sneaky one that you might not realize you're thinking. Comparison is like that. It's really sneaky. But know that maybe they don't say it out loud, but they do feel this way. Trust me. I have coached hundreds of moms at this point, and it comes up all of the time. Boredom is part of parenting. It doesn't mean you're disconnected from your kids or yourself. It just means that you've read the same book 14 times and your adult brain is asking for something else. Let's look at another hidden belief. If I were doing something more meaningful, I wouldn't feel this way. It's easy to believe this, especially during long seasons like early motherhood that feel so repetitive. But no job or role or life path eliminates boredom completely. This thought can trick you into chasing constant change instead of learning how to be present with what is. And this is what opens the door for more intentional, proactive action instead of that knee jerk reactive action that feels really good in the short term, but may not give you the long term results that you actually want. And finally, how about the belief this feeling must mean something's off? Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Boredom might be a cue to check in with yourself, but it doesn't automatically mean you need to blow up your life. Let's not let this discomfort boss us around. This is why naming individual feelings and getting fluent with your unique emotional experience can be so powerful. You can get laser focused on what your body is telling you, and then you can decide when you want to act on it or not. This analyzing part of the Choose Better Thoughts process is about slowing down enough to notice what thoughts are actually creating the weight of your experience. Because often it's not the boredom that feels heavy. It's the guilt or the shame or the pressure that we pile on top of it with this type of thinking. When you can start to spot these thoughts and question them, not in a forceful way, just gently, you give yourself a way out and your life can start to feel easier without you having to change anything about it. All right, awesome job so far. So once you've noticed the thought and questioned it just enough to get a little space, now what? This is the part where you practice choosing something new on purpose, not necessarily a new action. I offer just a new way of thinking about the moment that you're in. If you're used to judging boredom as laziness or a red flag, this is your chance to try on a slightly different lens. For example, maybe you can think, there's nothing wrong with this moment. Or being bored doesn't mean I'm doing life wrong. Or maybe this feeling doesn't need to be fixed. Or how about it's okay to be here without rushing to the next thing. You're not trying to go from boredom to joy. You're just aiming for something more neutral, more grounded, something that lets you feel a little more steady while you're in it. If you're in a season of life that feels like a plateau, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's meaningless. It might be a sign that your nervous system is regulating, that you're craving rest, not change. It might be a sign that you're between chapters and you don't need to force the next one before it's ready. Especially as working moms, our day-to-day lives often run at full speed. When something finally slows down, maybe it's like a quiet moment, a mundane task, or a long meeting, it can feel really uncomfortable or even wrong. That discomfort isn't necessarily a problem. It might be a signal to us that we've adapted to a pace that is actually not sustainable. And what we need is more rest, not more stimulation. There is power in choosing to stay, to not buffer, to not chase, to sit with your life as it is just for a moment and trust that that is enough for now. This is what alignment looks like here. Not forcing yourself to feel better, just telling the truth in a way that feels a little more supportive. So again, maybe today pick one of these thoughts and see how it feels to you. Imagine what feelings, actions, and results these new beliefs might create for you, and decide if you like those results better than the ones you have now. And finally, here's something simple and a little more concrete you can try this week. The next time you notice yourself feeling bored, don't change anything. Don't open your phone. Don't start reorganizing the cabinet. Don't plan a vacation in your head. Just notice what boredom feels like in your body. Give yourself 90 seconds to stay there. Allow the urge to act to be there without actually acting. You can even set a timer if it helps. That's it. Your only job in that moment is to name what's happening and feel it. Not fix it, not analyze it, just sit with it, like you would sit with a kid who's having a hard time. And if you want to go one step further, ask yourself afterward, what would I usually do to avoid that feeling? What's the thing I didn't do this time? That's your data. That's you noticing your default pattern and interrupting it long enough for you to decide if you like it or not. You don't need to make this deep. You don't need to find meaning in boredom. You don't even need to make it go away. You're just practicing the skill of noticing your feeling and not reacting. And then you can celebrate that. And this skill of being able to feel boredom or any other emotion without taking action, it transfers. It's the same one you can use when you feel awkward or anxious or out of your depth. This is the foundation, and you're building it now. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Choose Better Thoughts podcast. If you found these ideas helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who is also craving more confidence, connection, and calm. For more free resources and a deeper dive into my step-by-step formula for making your complex life feel easy, head over to my website at choosebetterthoughts.com. Until next time, remember that you're already there, already enough, and your goals are as good as done. You've